So I've got Jeremy Medlin from Clive McLeod Business Sales with me again, and this time we're talking to people who are considering buying a business. It's a huge investment and it comes with risk. And so Jeremy's got some pointers on things that you need to do in the early stages, things you need to start thinking about when you're looking at a business, and what to consider. So
I guess you've got to know why you want to buy a business, and everyone, I guess, who's ever worked in a job has thought about it at some point.
Yeah.
And I think most of the time, at least from my own experience when I was younger, working in the jobs I first got out of school and university and everything like that, you always sit in there thinking, I can do this better than my boss. And that's not, I don't think that, and that's a lot of people's motivations behind buying a business, and I don't think that is enough of a reason.
Yeah.
And just because you don't like the way your boss is doing things isn't necessarily a reason to run out and buy a business. Because once you see things from the boss's side, as the boss, it's a completely different game, and you can and a lot of things make more sense.
Yeah, kind of like an appearance.
But there's the typical reasons. You might not like your job. You've had enough of your job. You might be searching for that financial independence. That's obviously a big one. People
Creative
want
outlet, maybe.
I mean, you were speaking before. Were you off to the zoo this afternoon, for example?
Sometimes when you're on the phone with me, you'll hear elephants in the background.
Yeah. And that might be harder to do if you're in a 9-to-5 job, for example.
Yeah.
Whereas but it's saying that you might be working in the evening later on.
Yeah, it does come at a cost.
There is that. I guess there's the unlimited potential as well of owning the business. Starting a limited company. There's no limit to
earning potential.
Might be limited, but there's no limit to how earning potential. Apple Computer started in a garage as a limited company. Now it's the largest publicly traded company in the world. So
as opposed to salary, where no matter how hard you work in a given day, you're capped by your salary band.
Exactly, and I guess that leads into the potential tax advantages as well. As if you build up a valuable business, at least in New Zealand, and you sell it, it's unlikely that you're going to be taxed on a capital gain. Whereas if you're always getting paid a wage, then you're going to be constantly taxed throughout your life. So there is that, I guess, tax efficiency. And then is you get the opportunity to be your own boss, like we mentioned. You can do something that you're passionate about, and you can literally be your own boss. You can wake up in the morning and you can change the direction of your business. You can focus it in on what you're passionate about. And I guess that can help you maximise the potential. That's, I guess, one of the reasons I've last few jobs I've been on commission-based roles, because I sort of feel like that's the best way to, aside from business interests, it's the best way to sort of get what you're worth, if that makes sense. Yeah.
And so you found your business, you've got your reason sorted, and you found your business. Where do you start?
So the most important thing, and this is just my own views, you can search many different, Clive McLeod's got some good documents we can send you over about buying businesses and everything as well, but I think the most important thing is it's got to be in an area that you understand.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just like understand like you could study it and do an academic test and pass it. I mean like deeply understand what the cash flows are going to be for you, not for the current business owner into the future. And I'll give you an example, and this goes for any size of business. There's no way in the world, no matter how profitable it was, no matter what price I was buying it at, that I would buy an Indian restaurant, for example. Just because I'd have, the only Indian food I'd buy is butter chicken. I wouldn't know how to cook it. I wouldn't know where to start. I just wouldn't know what to do. Or there's no way I would buy like a dentistry business.
Yeah.
Just because I'd have no idea. You
never worked in dentistry.
Exactly. So it's got to be a business that you understand inside out. That's the most important thing. And the craziest mistake I see people make is they go into something that's completely outside of their sphere of knowledge.
Yeah, and that's what actually ties in well with the loan side of it, because that's one of there's like 3 key pillars when a lender's looking at you, and that's one of them is actually, you're buying a cafe, have you ever worked a day in your life in hospitality? Do you know, about the ordering and the staff management and how, coffee and actually running the day-to-day to be able to manage it well. Because you can take a fantastic manager and put it into a failing business and they'll turn it around, and at the same time you can take a really fantastic business, put a poor manager in, and they can turn that business around as well. So
it doesn't mean that you can't do well. There are amazing success stories of people going into fields that they've never done before, but I can guarantee you that those people felt confident that they could do it.
Yeah,
you
and
know.
probably worked
And
extremely hard to get that to work.
Exactly, and it's difficult to measure that. It's not like it's not like it's a formula you can just figure out, but it's a really important thing, and that leads into other things about risk and everything like that as well. Like you mentioned before about like doing your due diligence and understanding the competition and everything like that. If it's in an area that you truly understand in detail, then a lot of that due diligence is already done.
Yeah.
You know, you know what new products are coming if it's a technological space, for example, because you're in the field. You know if it's a food business, you know the other competitors in the area and everything like that. You already know.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. You know, there's lots of stuff you won't understand when you first buy a business, and a lot of it's you'll just have to learn on the job. Like if you've never done payroll before, for example, you know, or if you've never dealt with a lease before, you know, and I guess that's where it comes into having, you know, lawyers and accountants to help you with that sort of thing. There's a lot you won't know, but the basic economics of the business is really important. Yeah. You know, and that's the most important thing in my view. We could almost stop the tape. Well, I know we've run down other stuff, but we could almost stop the tape there in terms of the most important thing. I think you need to have a basic understanding of accounting. Yeah. You know, there are, you know, great operators out there that have just passed it on to their accountants, and they let everything just run through the accounts, and they just focus on the operation. But I would say that is more rare than what people think it is. I would say not having a basic understanding of accounting. I think, you know, Xero's a great product and everything like that, but I think sometimes people with Xero, and this is a generalisation, but they may not have as good understanding of the accounts as if they were going through the numbers themselves. Yeah. You know, if you just outsource it to a software, then you don't understand it as in much detail as if you were going through and creating your own spreadsheet and figuring it out. Yeah. You know, like for example, and I do that in my business as well. I do it all in a spreadsheet myself. We don't use Xero. Not that Xero's not a great product, it's just a preference. So the basic understanding of accounting is important. Like if you can look back on the month, for example, and you know that your gross profit is lower or higher for some particular reason, then you're going to have a more of an understanding of your business, and that goes for buying it as well. You know, it's easy. It's a lot easier to figure out. So many people just pass it on to their accountants, and you should do that. You should get advice, but it
But in the early
really
stages,
help.
before you engage specialists, you need to have an understanding of what you're looking at and what you're buying.
Exactly, and that comes back to the first point.
Yeah, before you get to the stage that you actually have decided to buy it, because if you're sending, if you're weighing up a couple of businesses and you're engaging specialists every time, it's going to get expensive. You really need to have an understanding of what you're looking at before you engage.
Exactly, and the key thing is not overpaying. You know, like a business, no matter how wonderful it is, no matter how much you understand it, no matter how profitable it is and everything like that, it's not worth an infinite price. Yeah. And that's a really important thing as well. I think the key thing there is I think it's paying a price where the business itself or the asset itself can generate your return. It's not just selling it to someone else for more or assuming that there's going to be a market for it later on, because that's just a case of like who beats who. You know, if I can sell my business that isn't worth much to you for more, then all I've done is trick you into buying a business that's worth more. Whereas if the asset itself produces you the return, oftentimes the sale price will take care of itself, but it's a whole lot less risky as well. Yeah. That I would say that's a really important thing. And again, that comes back to understanding the business, understanding the future cash flow and durability from it as you go into it. Yeah.
And we touched on durability in the preparing your business for sale video. Yeah. And one thing to consider that we talked about was how transferable the goodwill is. So are you buying a business off somebody who they're a local, they're on the tools themselves and they've built relationships with all the people and you have to go to John every time? Or are you buying something that's a brand and that you can just slot in neatly, it's got good systems in place, it's got, everything's up and running and you're the new owner? So considering how durable the future income is of that business that you're looking at as well. And again, it comes back to Jeremy's advice about understanding the industry as well and understanding what it is that you're buying.
Yeah, and what would you say about making like a business plan? Do you think that's important?
Yeah, that's another key thing, particularly on the lending side, helping the lender to understand exactly your understanding, but also your future goals, and your business plan can be teamed up with the cash flow forecast, and that's going to be tested by your accountant. So you're going to work together to test your rationales and produce something that lenders can understand, because they like numbers in black and white, rather than, I think this is going to happen. You've got your business plan, which explains how you're going to do it, and your cash flow forecast that shows the outcome of that. But a business plan should actually be an ongoing thing, year in, year out, that shows it's kind of like your map for what you're working on and how you're going to get there. But absolutely, a business plan.
Yeah, I mean, you did lending for a small business I bought, and I wrote out a business plan, but I was doing it as much for knowing that it was going to a lender as much as it was for myself. It's almost like a fact checker almost. Like if the business plan wasn't going to make sense to me, and I wasn't trying to dress it up to make sense to a lender, I was trying to make it make sense for me.
Yeah, to test your own rationale.
Yeah.
So the lender's not going to get in their car and drive down and have a look at the business and go and talk to people and see what what the neighbour down the road thinks is happening in the area. It comes down to testing out you and your rationale.
I'd say another thing, just quickly, is patience. There's a classic thing in real estate sales and housing sales that you should look at 100 houses or something like that, or whatever it is. And there is a degree of fact in that in business sales as well. Quite often, you got to stay patient with things. Like you might look at a few businesses and just not find one that's right, and then lose patience and just buy one.
Yeah, don't get emotional.
Exactly.
Yeah. I need to get this done. I've got the money sitting there, and I'm going to be a business owner. It has to stack up. All of the advice that Jeremy's given you, do you understand it? Do the numbers stack up? Are you paying the right price for it? Are you passionate about the product or service? All of those things come together, and once all of those things are in a line, it will happen for you quite easily. And if you have to force it, or if you've overlooked one of those really important things, it's going to be really hard, and it actually will come back to you later.
Oftentimes, though, it's maybe not the advice I should give on camera. Like, if you truly understand what you're looking at, oftentimes you'll just know.
Yeah.
You'll know very early on that it's a business that you're capable of doing, and then from that point on, it's just fact checking. Yeah.
And mitigating things that aren't quite right for you now, but that you can overcome.
Exactly. Yeah. If it's almost as if you're going in knowing what you don't like, you can quickly eliminate the. If you pitch me a business right now, I reckon I'd know within 30 seconds if I wanted to find out more or not. Yeah. And you should have that degree of knowledge going into it as well. Yeah. But in saying that, it's not as intimidating as what it's made out to be. A lot of people, they come to me and they're scared of making an offer. They've never done it before, and I get it, but it's not actually as intimidating as what you think it is, in terms of getting it on paper, getting the protections in the contract and stuff, so your lawyer and accountant can check it. We've made it sound like incredibly hard right now, but it's actually, most of the time, it's a simple process. Yeah.
Yeah. And then eventually, once you're at that point, that's when you chuck in your specialists, your lawyers, your accountants, and get that financial advisor, get your team around you, checking out what you've been reviewing, and make sure that that you haven't missed anything important. Yeah. Cool. That was easy. Pretty painless. Thank you, Jeremy. Again, I'm going to leave some contact information for him, so that if you want to get started, you can just reach out to him directly and pick his brains.
Cheers, Jeremy. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jeremy.